Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about the current licensing problems for truckers in Canada and what Bill 60 is supposed to do to fix the rules. But even more importantly, we're going to talk about how this is going to end up probably and most likely failing. So let's just get into it and find out what it is first and what are the issues.
Building Faster Act 2025. What does this mean for Canadian truck drivers, owner operators, and lease operators? Well, let's dive into it. This bill goes way beyond construction and housing. It actually introduces big changes to how driver's license, especially commercial driver's license, are issued and verified. Now, if you're in trucking, this could directly impact who's allowed behind the wheel and how we hire truck drivers moving forward. So let's dive in. What's happening right now versus how things are going to change if this bill actually gets passed? Right now, Ontario's system still has major gaps. Someone visiting, and this drives me crazy, that somebody visiting Canada can rent a local address and apply for a Class 1 license. Now, there's also no required waiting time between getting a G license and upgrading to a Class 1 commercial driver's license. So people can jump straight into the heavy trucks within weeks of when they come here to Canada. Now, that opens the door to a lot of unsafe, unqualified, and non-resident drivers holding commercial driver's license, and that hurts legitimate carriers. Now, if this bill passes, applicants will now need to prove three things when getting their license. Number one, their Ontario residency. Number two, their legal status in Canada. And for commercial's license, the right to work as a truck driver. Meaning, if you are a visitor to Canada, you will not be able to get your commercial's driver's license. Now, visitors and short-term residencies will no longer be eligible. So visitors and short-term residents will no longer be eligible. Plus, a mandatory waiting period. This is something that our industry definitely needs. A waiting period between getting your G license and your A license. So this way, applicants can gain real Canadian road experience before hauling loads. Now, the second biggest problem we're going to talk about is student visas and how that's going to change if this bill passes. So what's happening right now is international students can often get an Ontario G license and even a Class 1 license, as long as they have a study permit and proof of address. But we all know how shady a lot of these schools are, that people just use the student visa as a means to get into Canada. Now, a study permit is for education, not for full-time employment. Some students finish truck training programs and get licenses even though they can't legally be employed as a truck driver and wait until the end because that's where this whole Driver Inc. model comes into play. Now, this creates a gray area for carriers, trainers, and insurers, and it's easily abused right now. Now, with the Bill 60, what's going to happen is that loophole is going to close. To qualify for a commercial's license, you must prove you have the legal work authorization in Canada, meaning that somebody that is on a study permit alone won't cut it and will not be eligible. Once this new rule takes into effect, students without an open work permit will not be eligible for a Class A license until they can legally work full-time here in Canada. Now, why does this matter for trucking? Well, because we all share the roads with other truck drivers. Carriers are often hiring based.
Okay, so I think you get the idea. It sounds pretty good. They're obviously going to be changing a lot of rules and trying to close loopholes. But the issue, even right now, is what people are doing is they're coming in illegally as student worker visas, starting a numbered corporation and then driving trucks like almost immediately right now. So it's very dangerous and you're getting terrible drivers. And that's why the roads are currently so dangerous. And if you've also ever seen any other videos and seen the fake trucking schools, like there's whole industries for training and getting around this already and just like basically doing the minimum just so they're kind of allowed to drive, but so they're kind of allowed to drive, but basically they're terrible truck drivers. So, I mean, that sounds great that they're trying to plug it, but are they actually going to fix it right now? Because currently the fake schools are crazy. If you watch any of the videos, it shows you just how bad they are. They don't teach you properly. They only do it is the minimum amount to help you get a license and then do anything fake to try to trick the system. So even if this bill passes, what will probably happen is it'll end up backfiring because people, it's not like they can't do more loopholes. That's all they do. There's no enforcement to this. That's the biggest issue. You're not really putting these people in jail. And even if somehow it does temporarily reduce the, terrible drivers, it'll also reduce the supply of drivers. So what it'll do is then there won't be as many truck drivers on the road. So of course then you'll have incentive to have unlicensed and even worse drivers that have never driven before. And the biggest thing probably also is that there's going to be huge delays because of the bureaucrats. The liberal government or whatever, they're not going to actually implement this and make it work. So they're going to add a bunch of paperwork and really have no point of doing anything. It's probably going to create huge delays, and it might discourage newcomers from even applying or push some to, not even work in the industry anymore. And for businesses, like if you're running a business, how are you going to get your loads or, whatever you need to do to wherever you need them to go? And that's, like even if they are illegal workers right now and truck drivers, they're still there for a purpose. They're solving a purpose, which is, putting stuff, driving with loads on their truck to bring them somewhere. And if you don't have these workers, even if they are illegal, then what are you going to do in the meantime? So my guess is they're going to have no plan. It's kind of like the whole immigration system right now. We let in a bunch of immigrants, but our healthcare and our schools have gone, like in terrible direction. And so even these rules are well intentioned, it'll probably end up being just absolutely awful. And anyway, so we'll get into more in this in other videos, but I just wanted to show this and just get into hopefully having a discussion about why the trucker industry is terrible right now, what Bill 60 is trying to do, and then possible reasons why it might absolutely fail. So hopefully you like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.